All right, Wittenberg Academy, Greek 1. We are in lesson 11. We're ready for the translations on page 40, section 142. Peithusin. What tense is that? It's present tense, right? Nothing added to the stem, just nice present tense indicative active. They persuade. Epethon. Epethon. You've got an epsilon, you've got nothing added to the stem at the end, and you've got that on ending. So what is that? That's imperfect. I persuade or they persuade. Peisusen. Peisusen. You've got a sigma there, and remember sigma eats up theta, so that's just a simple future, they will persuade. Epesan. Epesan. Epsilon on the front, sigma on the end, that characteristic alpha in the endings, that's aorist. So they persuaded. Pepeikasen. Pepeikasen. Reduplication on the front, kappa on the end, a endings, ason, that's perfect. They have persuaded. Epipeikasan. Epipeikasan. Epsilon, reduplication, kappa on the end, characteristic endings of the pluperfect, they had persuaded. Ethroisamen. Ethroisamen. You've got reduplication on the front, sigma on the ending, that's aorist. We, what's athro? Oh, yes, we collected, we gathered. Didaxe. Didaxe. A sigma has been added to the stem with present endings, that's future. He, she, or it will teach. Ega. Ega. An epsilon has been added on the front, making the alpha long. Ega. And so that's imperfect. He was going. Klepsita. Klepsita. Sigma has been added on the end. You will steal. Erifas. Erifas. So what has been done here? An epsilon's been added to the front, and the back, something's been done to the back with crypto. What's been done to it? Well, a kappa has been added. Because that kappa has swallowed up the tau and then is combined with the phi to make it, combined with the p to make it phi. And so that epsilon on the front is actually reduplication. Remember, words that begin with vowels or words that begin with these liquid consonants will not reduplicate. They'll simply take epsilon. So that is a perfect. If that doesn't click right to your mind, then you simply need to memorize the principal parts of crypto. So that's that is you have snatched or excuse me, cast. You have cast or thrown something. Elaba. Elaba. That's from you know, that is, you have to memorize that. That's from Lombano. That you simply have to memorize that as your aorist stem. So that should pop right into your mind as an aorist. He received. Leloipa. Leloipa. That again you have to memorize as an irregular perfect. And so again, look up. Sorry, let's look that up. Look up lipo or leipo, lambda epsilon. So it's on that same page. You should have a bookmark on page. There we go, on page 325. That's at the very top of the first column. So you need to probably need to make a new vocabulary card for leipo. Leipo, leipso, elipon, leloipa, lelomai, elipthane. So leloipa, it's an irregular, perfect. You just have to memorize that one. So that's I have left. Edidadakes. Edidakes. Edidakes. Quite a word there. Epsilon, reduplication, stem, kappa has been added, characteristic, eta endings, that's pluperfect, you had taught. 5, menomen, that's a nice, easy present, we remain. Balata, 1 lambda, tells you that's the aorist stem. So y'all through. Aachen, got some kind of epsilon on the front, and that that's been added, and that characteristic epsilon ending, and then something has happened there to the gamma, because I know this has got to be from ago, and so it's become a he. And I know that kappa, when it's added to a gamma, becomes a he, and so I know that's that is a that's a perfect. He, she, or it has led. And again, if that's not coming to your mind, you need to make a new vocabulary word for ago. So you go to the dictionary, find ago, which is on page 303, and write down all of its principal parts as vocabulary. Ago, oxo, egagon, echa, egmai, echthane. And you need to memorize those as part of its vocabulary entry. And eche, again, this is pluperfect. It's got that pluperfect ending on the perfect stem. So he had led. All right, some sentences. Sentence 1 on section 143. Didaxan ta tekna graphein lagus sophus. Didaxan ta tekna graphein lagus sophus. So our verb, didaxan. Reduplication, sigma, not reduplication, but epsilon on the front. Sigma is added to the ending. Those endings are aorist endings, so they taught. They taught the children to write wise words. 2. Indite stene hado ethroikasi palus dulus. Indite stene hado ethroikasin ethroikasi palus dulus. Okay, where is our verb? Ethroikasi. What do we see there? We see it's been lengthened on the front, and we see it's got a kappa, and we see it's got that asi ending. I know this is perfect. So they have collected. Who have collected? Is there anything to go with it in the nominative? No, there is not. So it's simply they have collected. Is there an object for it? Something that they have collected? Yeah, in the accusative. Direct objects are in the accusative. Palus dulus. Palus dulus. Many slaves. So now it all goes together rather easily. But in the narrow way, in the narrow road, they have collected many slaves. Notice that stene has a feminine ending because hados, even though it has what looks like masculine endings, the word itself is feminine. It's he hados. So te stene hado. So stene agrees with the noun it modifies in gender, number, and case. It is dative, it is singular, it is feminine. 3. Allah tais langkais epion tas kephalas ton angelon. Allah tais langkais epion tas kephalas ton angelon. All right, where is a verb? Epion. So what's going on here? We know it's from pio, to strike. I strike. And it has an epsilon on the front, has that on ending. That's imperfect. So it's either I was striking or they were striking. Anything in the nominative? No. Anything in the accusative to serve as an object? Yes, certainly. So I or they was or were striking the heads is in the accusative. After that, there's a genitive, ton angelon. How do we translate the genitive? With of. So I was striking the heads of the messengers. And we'll grab the words in the beginning. But tais langkais. What's that dative doing? Dative in Latin can be the instrument of something. So, or the indirect object. So you got to try the dative as the indirect object, and if that doesn't work, you try it with or by. And so here it's, but with spears I was striking the heads of the messengers. Sentence 4. Heure de ton adolfan into capeleo oinanda uk epinen. Heura datan adafan into kapaleo oinanda uk epinen. So we'll take it up to the semicolon, that raised period after kapeleo is a semicolon in Greek. So where's a verb in the first half? Heura. Now that's from eurisko. And so if you need, and that has irregular principal parts. So go to the dictionary and look up eurisko, epsilon, upsilon, rho, etc. Eurisko. So that is going to be on page 318. About second column, about 5 words down. So you need to make a vocabulary card entry for heurisko that includes its principal parts. Heureso, heuran, heureka, heuremai, heurethein, to find or discover. So, heura, looking at my principal parts, that is going to be eris. It's off the third principal part. So, he, she, or it found. Anything to go with it in the nominative to serve as a subject? No. So, he, she, or it found tan elefan. That's accusative. It's the direct object. But he, she, or it found the brother in the tavern. Oinand uk epinen. The verb is epinen. That's got an epsilon. It's got on the front. It's got nothing on the ending. Nice normal present ending. So that tells me it's imperfect tense. But he was not drinking wine, oinon, but he was not drinking wine. Sentence 5. Epidetais tu patamu peges, elepa, ta hemation. Epidetais tu patamu peges, elepa, ta hemation. So where's my verb? There it is, elepa, elepa. Again, that's from laipo. You simply have to memorize its irregular principal parts. That is its third principal part. It's aorist. He, she, or it left. Anything in the nominative to go with it? No. He, she, or it. Anything in the it left something. Anything in the accusative? Yes. Ta hemation. He, she, or it left the cloak. And now we'll go back to the beginning of the sentence. Epitais ta patamu. So epitais peges, excuse me. Epitais pegeis. So at the springs of the river, at the source of the river, he left the cloak. 6. Ekekaloike gar ta paidia riptain tus lithus eistain thalatain. Ekekaloike gar ta paidia riptain tus lithus eistain thalatan. Well, there's a verb right at the beginning. Ekekaloike. It's got reduplication. It's got an augment even before that. Then you got your stem. Then you got your kappa. That's obviously pluperfect. He, she, or it had hindered. Had hindered. Had hindered whom? Tai paidia. He, she, or it had hindered the children, cryptain, to throw the stones into the sea. So obviously now in English we have a different construction. We don't use an infinitive for this. We don't say we hinder someone to something. We say we hinder someone from doing something. So he had hindered the children, he had prevented the children from throwing stones into the sea. 7. Hada strategas eutus estratoisen epi tus palamius. Hada strategas eutus estrateusen epi tus palamius. I got a verb, estrateusen. It's got reduplication on the front. It's got a sigma on the ending. That's aorist. He, she, or it attacked, strategized against, led an army against. Who did that? Anything in the nominative? Yes, strategas. So the general immediately set out against epitus palamius, against the enemy. 8. Olepe herpasan, Tas komas efugan pala plethra dia tu pediu. Alepi herpasen tas komas efugan pala plethra dia tu pediu. Got a verb. Herpasan, herpasan. And they note render as pluperfect. What's going on here? Well, we've got two clauses. Note I've got two verbs. Herpasan and then efugan. So the main verb of the sentence is efugan, which is an imperfect. And this herpasan is in a temporal clause, but after they had taken the villages, after they had taken or snatched up the villages, they were fleeing many plethra through the field. They fled many plethra, they ran many yards, many miles through the field. So when you have a past tense verb that is dependent on, or is in a dependent clause, where the main verb is also past tense, it kind of pushes everything back a tense. We'll talk more about that later. 9. Menosenin to hiero kai klepsusi ta ton muson dora. Menosen in to hiero kai klepsusi ta ton muson dora. Verb, menosen. They are remaining. They are remaining in the temple. And klepsusi, that's future, has that sigma ending. And they will steal the gifts of the muses. 10. Makra ein hemache alakale he nike. Makra ein hemache alakale he nike. Long was the fight, but noble the victory. Long was the fight, but noble the victory. So that does it for lesson 11. Next time in lesson 12, we'll learn a little different pattern of noun endings, but shouldn't be anything too confusing. And then we'll carry on with some more translation.